How many of you are finding yourself where you're going out or you're currently doing things to be able to grow your network? Raise your hand if you're doing things to network and get out there. Okay, Jody is. All right, Doug is. So where we're headed with this is I want us all to imagine. We're all going to imagine that right now we're on a 5th floor of the hotel and we're going to make our way down to the lobby. And then you're going to meet some guy, or you might meet some lady, because I'm going to ask you all to play this out, where you're going to be the person who bumps into someone else. And say, for example, I bump into Jody in an elevator. She may have seen me at an event, or we're at this big networking event and I've got a lanyard on with my name and that's it. And I might see Jody's with her name on and it says Story Mountain Media. So it's like, hey, Jody, you're here. Then what? From the 5th floor to the lobby is how much time you've got to pitch me without being salesy. So what I want to share with you is the elevator pitch process. The design of an elevator pitch is to get somebody to go, where's your information and how do I set up a call with you? Are we going to sell somebody in 30 seconds? No. The only way we're going to actually sell somebody in 30 seconds is if they've already consumed about 7 hours of your content online and then they meet you and it's like, holy crap, Farah, I've always wanted to meet you. How do I buy your stuff? So in the real world, we've got to get them engaged. So how do we get people engaged? We've got to use the elevator pitch. And I want to share with you the elevator pitch process. It's a 3-step.
Joe, can I just say thank you? Because I've never learned this before.
You're very welcome.
Nobody's ever,
Yeah.
I've never taught this, and I've been in sales training when I was in banking.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited.
Yeah. So you know what most people do is they go, hey, Jody, nice to meet you here at the Unstoppable Mastermind. What do you do? And they go, well, I'm a book editor, or I'm a fitness coach, or I'm an online coach. Nothing's intriguing. So let's create the scene. Jody, you're going to be first. Right now, I don't expect perfection. This is the safest place to make mistakes. So I want everybody to go through their pitch, right? If I met Jody on an elevator and it would be like, hey, Jody, I see that you got a badge. You're here at the event. I'm just curious. What is it that you do? And then you'd see my badge. So, well, Joe, nice to meet you, or pleasure to meet you. So picture this. Everyone has this story inside of them and they just don't know what to do to be able to get it out on paper, to get it out to the world. And they get stuck and they have these visions of wanting to do it and they never get it done. And it just grates them. And they know that there's some greatness out there to be able to help people. Now, imagine they meet someone who can guide them to be able to put this on paper, and it doesn't take an eternity. They do it quickly. Who do you know who that would want to be able to get their book out to the world? And there's your pitch, Jody. And I'm just using that as like, I'm doing that strictly off the cuff. What we do is we picture this, paint the picture. The other way that you could do this is, instead of saying picture this, you can say, you know when, and then fill in the blank. You got to make the problem real. You know when you're in a relationship for a long time and you have this conversation that leads to a debate, that leads to an argument, that leads to a fight, that leads you to one person sleeping on the couch and the other person is slamming doors? Now imagine someone who can guide you so that when your discussion turns into a debate, you can instantly stop it before it turns into something more serious. Who do you know who that wants to stop all fights and arguments in their relationships for the rest of their lives in 8 weeks or less, right? So Jody, just for fun, you and I are on the elevator. Elevator doors open. You hop into the elevator. We're going down. And I go, hi, Jody. I see that you got a badge here. That we're both here at the event. Awesome. So I'm just curious, what do you do?
So picture this, Joe. People all over the world have incredible stories to tell, especially entrepreneurs. But they don't know how to actually organize the information. They don't know the right publishing paths. They don't know how to get their books into the marketplace to reach their ideal clients. So imagine there's somebody who actually knows all that. That would be me. So who do you know who has a great story, but no clue what to do next?
I like it. Now, what we're going to do, Jody, is I'm going to come back to you. And what I want you to consider is, this is what I want all of you to paint, is the hero's journey. The hero's journey is what? The hero leaves town, has to go and fight the dragon, doesn't know the first clue how to fight the dragon. They need to meet the guide. So think of it from that perspective. What you've got is a great start. Let's move on to the next person, okay? Farah, we're on the elevator. Elevator opens up. Hi, Farah. I'm Joe. Nice to meet you. So what do you do?
Hey Joe, so you know how women accumulate belly fat when they get to perimenopausal stage? and
Yeah.
they really struggle with self-esteem and low confidence. Well, I have a program that actually helps women to increase confidence, flatten that belly, and get them back in that driving seat. Who do you know who may be struggling with this right now, Joe?
Okay. So I get where you went when I'm not the person.
Okay.
I mean, I know what you mean, and I know women who have gone through this. However, if you're going to speak to a man, my suggestion would be, so here's this problem that exists that affects both men and women.
Start with that line.
Well, to think of it, because how it affects men is it would affect a man in terms of how he would look at his significant other who's going to go through this. And so just think of it from that perspective. And instead of I have a program, the suggestion would be, now imagine they get to find someone who helps them go through this process that they're going to go through anyways, and do it in such a way where it's easy, it's effective, and they melt away all that body fat. Like you're talking about yourself, except you're talking about yourself like you're the guide. So think about that for a quick second, Farah, and I'll come back to you. Okay? Linz.
So, Joe, picture this. You've struggled with your weight like your whole life. And I mean, not for a lack of trying. You've tried all these different workout programs, different diets, all these supplements, and you get results, but you always gain it back and then some. And it's really affecting not only you physically, but your mental health, your relationship, everything in your life, not just you. Now imagine having a program, Joe, where it's the last time that you lose the weight. And not only that, it's actually going to set you up for success for the rest of your life so that it's sustainable and not just for you. It can impact your family, your mental health. Joe, who do you know that something like this would really benefit?
Say, Linz, again, bones are there. Instead of you, I want you to go like third person. So if you're talking to a guy, then speak to the story of the guy. And if you're talking to Mrs. Jones, who is like the avatar of Fit Body, speak about a Mrs. Jones. So it would be something like,
picture this, a man that has struggled.
Right. So you could go, so imagine a guy in his early 50s. Like you're talking about me, and yet you're not mentioning you. You're saying imagine. So picture this, a guy in his early 50s who used to be in phenomenal athletic shape. And you know what? Life, as he got older, things started changing in his body. Things started changing in terms of his work. Things started changing in terms of his time. And he just didn't have the time to be able to stay fit, healthy. And he started adding a little bit of weight around the midsection. It was just harder and harder to be able to lose that weight, and it just got frustrating and even depressing. Then imagine this person finds someone who can help navigate the melting away of body fat without stress and feeling in pain all the time. And they lose the weight for the last time. Who do you know who that wants to lose the weight for the last time? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And who do you know could be, hey, that's me? Or who do you know who is, I'm going to connect you with my brother, or I'm going to connect you with my wife, whatever. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Doug, nice to meet you, Doug.
Hey, Joe, nice to meet you. What are you doing here at the conference?
Well, I'm hopefully doing the same thing that you are, man. I mean, I'm looking to make just a couple of key contacts. I'm looking for level 10 people. I noticed your badge, so I'm just curious. What do you do, man?
Well, Joe, I want you to imagine a high performer or a high-performing couple or a high-performing team. And think about those situations where they get into a tense situation. Maybe it's a difficult conversation. Maybe it's an incipient fight or argument. And they start to feel the fear and the anxiety and the upset, and they freeze up. Or they get reactive and start getting angry and frustrated, and they start shouting at each other, and the whole relationship just goes sideways. Now imagine they can find somebody who in 8 weeks can show them in that situation that they will never have a fight or argument again. They'll be able to go into any intense situation with total calm, confident compassion and quiet it all down almost instantly. Who do you know who might be able to use that kind of knowledge.
Yeah. Great job, Doug. Notice how Doug comes in. And again, the thing about role play that we're doing here, everybody, is go in and play it like Doug just did. Like come in and play it at a level 10. You're all level 10 experts. The way to be able to become a level 10 communicator is you got to practice at level 10. So it becomes automatic. Doug comes in with that energy at the beginning. Hey, Joe, right? Like play it. Just play it up.